Another question I get a lot is of starseed origins. Some people keep coming up to me, am I a starseed? Where do I come from? Da 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 da. Um, I I never really answer these questions directly. There are a couple reasons for this. The first one's kind of obvious. There's always individuals out there who like to sit there and prove to themselves that either the whole thing's a fake, the whole starseed movement's a fake, or the whole or a certain individual's fake, and like I'm not here to prove anybody's existence. If you believe all of my channelings, all of my information is bunk, more power to you. Um, I just offer my information for consideration, pretty much. Um, but if someone comes in with like some kind of vendetta to, to sit there, and convince themselves, that absolutely there's no possible way anything can be real to the point of just kidding themselves, which is fine. That's their thing. Like I said, I'm not here to prove anything to them. Like somebody could come in, to sit there and say, where am I from? Oh yeah, well, where am I from? And it's like they've already come in with the notion that they don't believe me, and when you come in with a notion that you've already got the result in your head already, that you know what the result's gonna be, it's like there's nothing you can do to really prove it anyway. So I'm not really interested in flashing my star cred at anybody. That's not what I'm about. If you don't believe me, fine. Don't believe me. The other one is a lot of people, some people who genuinely are concerned about their star origins. Um, um, I find that a lot of people who do that generally tend to just go to somebody else and ask them, and then somebody else, and then somebody else, because they aren't certain. I'm thinking, instead of asking everybody where the hell you're from, why don't you just go find out for yourself? The idea is anyone can tell you that that you're from anywhere. For instance, a complete stranger can tell you that you weren't actually born in like San Diego, but you were born in Saskatoon up in Canada. They can tell you about certain events growing up that happened where you live, things there, but it's just talk in the end. Even if you were to partially believe them, even though you had a knowing in your heart that you were not from San Diego, California, there would still be some kind of doubt in your heart. Oh, okay, well, it's okay. So I wasn't born in San Diego. Let's say, what's to say I wasn't born in Fargo instead? The only true way to know is to do research on your own. You can have 20 million people telling you you're from different places, and you still won't know. The only real way to know is to do research. For instance, you could go to Saskatoon, look up birth records, look up newspaper articles detailing events, visit places that were described to you. And this way, this is probably the best way to confirm that you actually did come from Saskatoon, because you can confirm it with childhood memory. You got legal documents there stating that you were born in this particular location and stuff like that. You have physical ways to confirm it. Now, granted, you can't physically board a spaceship at this time and go to planets to do this. Alright, so let's say for some reason you couldn't find a way to board a plane or get on a train or do something like that to get to Saskatoon. You could just as easily look up the information online, like birth records, newspaper articles, Google Maps, and the whole deal nowadays. This type of research, this type of research can work well. If you feel connected to a well-known star race, such as like the Pleiadians or the Arcturians. But if you were in the same situation I was in when I was waking up, connecting to a star race that wasn't even documented before, then it helps. You have to get a little bit more creative in the process. Let's say, for instance, have you ever resonated with like a piece of music, some art, a concept in a movie, that is something you really resonated with, but you couldn't figure out why? I would venture to say this is a pretty big clue to your star origins and how to find them. Here's an exercise I would recommend to everyone who has questions about their star origins, even if they feel connected to a well-documented star race. In my experience, this has really been fun, compelling, and the results are simply jaw-dropping. Believe me. All right. First off, no matter what star race you feel you are, whether it's well-documented or not, just forget doing web searches on your star race at first. Just forget it. Don't even get it out of your mind. What we're doing here is an exercise of the intuition. We can worry about the intellectual data later. Okay, now go to any search engine that allows you to search through images on the web. Like you type in a certain topic and the corresponding images or whatever's labeled this comes up. Again, don't worry about searching for specific things regarding your star race. Just try web searching for like general stuff like fantasy landscapes, spaceships, aliens in general, even like fashion models or clothing models. I mean, not necessarily like catwalk type stuff, but just typical everyday stuff. Just anything that comes to mind in a general sense. We're not looking for anything specific. We're just looking for specific stuff and generalized ideas. If you get what I mean. This is the idea. What you're doing is you're setting up the intuition to act like a radar. That's its natural function. It is to lead you to places. But by doing random searches like this, instead of looking for a specific info on a specific star race, you're eliminating the actual reference. Yeah, like I said, you're eliminating the actual reference. You're taking the intellect out of the equation. The intellect can be easily misled when it comes to searching for things like this, where you have no solid data to go by. What you're doing is you're cutting out unnecessary components in the equation. Right now you don't need to worry about the name of the planet or where it's at. What you need to do is what you're worrying about is finding things that you relate to that you can't explain why. Alright, okay. What you want to do is find images that resonate with you for whatever reason. You can't figure out why. Or parts of a picture that do. For example, it may not be an entire picture that resonates with you, but perhaps the color of the sky in the picture, or the shape of someone's face, or their eyes, or a particular symbol. Now, while you're doing this, take notes, writing what data you can. Just gather, this. I saw this, that. And once you feel comfortable with the amount of intuitional data gathering you've acquired, compile it. In other words, allow your imagination to take all these components, almost create an imaginary world from it. And what you find is that your imagination will almost readily latch onto it, and all of a sudden, even if you're not a writer, you'll find that you're writing about it, and it's like, wow, how did I come up with all this stuff? And chances are you didn't. Chances are it isn't just a part of your imagination. Now. Once we've done this, now we go do search on the web for data on alien races, if that's possible. And when you do this, don't say, well, this doesn't jive with any Arcturian stories, so it must not be a star seed. Don't be like that. It may be that you're actually a Syrian or a Lyran. It may be that you come from some place that hasn't even been documented before. And there's nothing wrong with that. Someone has to be the first to document something like this, and it may as well be you. Why not? I mean, who wouldn't want to learn about a previously undocumented star race? I mean, let's say, like in a lot of cases, you do find that your star race is well documented. You will most likely notice three things. And these three things will totally floor you when it starts coming to you. First off, you'll find that for some reason, as you read web pages about these star races, you'll be able to put them into two categories, like one that you feel is not right and one that you feel is right. Like you'll be saying to yourself as you read the pages, "Oh, that doesn't sound right at all." Or, "Wow, this sounds totally true," even without even really thinking about it, without even having to analyze the data intellectually, where you just feel that it's right or it's not that accurate. Just by paying attention to your intuition. You may also find, the second thing you'll find is that the info that you do sense is not right has a certain quality to it. For instance, you may get a sense that the info is steering you to certain conclusions and feelings, and quite often the info seems to be in line with misinformation or certain NWO propaganda. It's like your eyes completely open to a whole new world, and the illusions just merely fall to the wayside. But perhaps the most amazing thing that happens with the data that does resonate with you, you will find that all this stuff you resonate with matches almost exactly with what you found seeking through the pictures of using your intuition, with very little deviation. And there is really a judgmental character about the good information. This is why I do not usually give direct star origin readings, because the methods I have outlined here are so powerful, so impactful, that it leaves very little doubt where one is from, because they have confirmed it for themselves. You don't just sit there and say to yourself, "Well, so-and-so told me I was from here and there." I mean, you pretty much know without a doubt. And to those whose origins lie in a less documented area or not documented at all, the universe has other ways of sending confirmation your way. People may give you info that you have gleaned on your own without you having told them anything about it. And it resonates completely. It's like, somebody could mention something about something that you know about your home, and they mention that in the sense of your home, and it's just like, whoa! It's like, holy, that's completely right, without you even prompting them. Here's another example of kind of the universe giving you confirmation from my own experiences. When I was first contacting Wick and Davrin, Wick told me all about, ribbon wielding and stuff like that, but she also described a certain process she used to travel using ribbon wielding that she called something like bubbling or something like that. She described this process in detail to me. Typically, I have not shared what she told me about that with anyone but a very few people at the time. Then about 9 months later, I was kind of having really serious doubts as to whether or not this stuff was real or if I was just going nuts. I was with a few other people, none of which I have told about what Wick told me. One of them was channeling. The channel was compelled to speak in various alien languages. I know Wick was there. She's always with me. The first language she spoke, I instantly recognized as Salmakian. But I wasn't sure how to respond, or if I should respond at all. So I went on and spoke a few other she went on and spoke a few other alien languages, but then went back to Salmakian. So I decided to kind of let the Salmakian come out of me and speak, and some sort of conversation went on. Later on, when the channeling session was over, I asked the person, do you remember what was said, or what the gist of it was regarding what we communicated about in the Salmakian speech? And that she proceeded to describe in detail, in her own words, the very same process Wick described to me 9 months prior. There was no way she could have imagined this up. So that was pretty powerful for me. Well, like I said, not only does this process help you find your star origins, I think there's other uses for it as well. You can give you key vibratory information, how to contact your guides, and what to key into. That's pretty much all I have to say about this subject. I'll see you again with more info. Take care. Bryce blessings.